धनञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश। श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome to the teachings of Lord Chaitanya to Sanatana Goswami. We have titled this particular series of the discussion as the heart of Sanatana Shiksha. The teachings of Lord Chaitanya to Sanatana Goswami spans from chapter 20, 21, 22, 23 and 24 also. And up till now, in the series of discussion, we had discussed chapter 20 and 21. And 22 is the heart of Sanatana Shiksha because Abhidheya Tattva, how to practice bhakti, what is the process of practicing bhakti, is going to be elaborately discussed by Mahaprabhu. So for those who are attending now the heart of Sanatana Shiksha, chapter 22, we will do an overview of chapter 20 and 21 today, and also look into the Dasha Mula Tattva. We have quite exhaustively discussed chapter 20 and 21 and the whole concept of Dasha Mula Tattva. Nonetheless, today we will do an overview and we'll try to get a brief idea before we enter into chapter 22. So let us begin our discussion today. So there are some norms for this online interactive discussion which we are going to have. So let us try to follow the norms. First is, kindly keep your mobiles in silent or airplane mode. It is best if you can, for a focused discussion, be on your laptop, sit in one place and participate in the discussion. This is not like any other Bhagavatam class where the speaker speaks for 1 hour and after that there is question answers. It is going to be interactive. There'll be questions asked by me, you have to answer, you can ask questions and we will try to answer. So it's going to be highly interactive. So, so that it is more lively because it's a online forum. So we'll try to keep the discussion live so that we can maximum reap benefit of Krishna Katha. So kindly maintain this etiquette. The class is going to be interactive, as I mentioned. I will discuss some points or slides and then pause for questions from the participants. There might be certain series of discussions in the verses which I might be discussing. And while discussing, maybe you might have some questions. So it is better that you hold on. You hold on for me to finish the discussion, and your question might be answered as I'm discussing. If it is not answered, make a mental note or make a small note on your notebook. And then I finish the discussing of the points or few slides. Then I will ask for questions and you can uh, ask questions. Nonetheless, if you feel that, in between I have a question, you raise the hand button. I might take it up at that point or I might not take it up. Depends on the situation. So kindly be patient and we will definitely try to answer to our best of the knowledge. You use your hand raise button to ask questions. Don't type the questions in the chat box. Please don't do that, because as we are discussing, you're framing your question and you're typing it and you forget the flow. That's one reason. Secondly, you can express to your best capacity when you speak out. So kindly speak out the question so that we can get a clear understanding of what exactly you're trying to ask, and then we'll try to answer it. Now, the question should be related to the subject or that particular theme which is discussed. And especially, we are discussing Chaitanya Charitamrita, so don't ask Bhagavatam questions here or Bhagavad Gita questions. It should be related to the topic which is being discussed. So, no out of context questions to be asked. So, I hope the norms are clear. So, let's begin. The process of devotional service, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 22. And we have titled this as the heart of Sanatana Shiksha. Now let's go to the overview of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 20 and 21. As I was stating that the Sanatana Shiksha begins from chapter 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. In one sense, the teaching ends in 23. In 24, Sanatana Goswami asked, "Oh, you explained Raguna Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya the meaning of Atmaram verse. Can you, explain me that?" So, based on this question, Sanatana Goswami was, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was given 11 different explanations of the verse Atmaram. And now to Sanatana Goswami gives 64 meanings of the word Atmaram. So that's a long discussion in the chapter 24, which is part of Sanatana Shiksha. But of course, I don't know why the camera is being shared. The single view camera is not coming. Some reason. Yeah. Sorry for that. So in one sense, chapter 24 is explanation of the verse Atmaram. And if you see chapter 20, 21, 22, and 23, these form actually the core of Sanatana Shiksha. So let's go to overview of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 20. Now in chapter 20, I'm just giving an overview here now. Basically, there is the invocation verses in text 1 and 2. And Sanatana Goswami's, joining of the Hare Krishna movement, that pastime is there. And then how Sanatana Goswami escapes and he travels through Patada and Hajipur. And at Varanasi, Sanatana Goswami meets Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So those pastimes are there. And actually, Sanatan Shaksha begins from text 94 to 107, where Sanatan Goswami inquires from the Lord. So, in essence, Sanatan Goswami puts forth only 4 questions in chapter 20. And these 4 questions are answered in chapter 20, 21, 22, 23. So 20, 21, 22, 20, 21, 22, 23. 4 chapters are devoted to 4 questions of Sanatana Goswami. So how deep are his questions? Very simple question it looks. Who am I? Ki ami? And why do I suffer? Ki tapatraya. Sadhya sadhana nahi jani. What is sadhana and what is sadhya? I don't know. Kindly explain. So these look very simple questions, but they are very deep, profound philosophical questions. So the Lord appreciates Sanatana Goswami that you are fit to propagate bhakti, but you are asking out of your humility, and the Lord starts answering. So why the living entity is suffering? Because he is now bound in Maya. So the Lord's energy and the Jiva's characteristic, how it is, although Tatastha Shakti, it belongs to the interior energy of the Lord, but now it is caught up in the exterior energy or the external energy. So he briefly answers the first and second questions. And then Sadhya and Sadhana. Sadhya and Sadhana, I don't know what is the means and what is the end. So in this context of Sadhya Sadhana, Mahaprabhu begins his teachings on Sambandha Abhidheya Prayojan. Bhagavan Sambandha, Bhakti Hoy Abhidheya, Prema Prayojan. Veda ei teen vastu kahe. We have to establish our relationship, Sambandha with Bhagavan. And the means by which we can establish that relationship is the process of bhakti. The process by which we can establish is bhakti. Bhakti is the process. And ultimately, prema is the prayojan. And ultimately, Bhagavan is the highest aspect of the absolute truth. And all the Shastras proclaim that. Now, this Bhagavan is Swayam Bhagavan. So, the concept of Bhagavan is very elaborately now discussed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is a very interesting discussion. And we elaborately discuss this. So there is Swayam Rup, Tadekatma, and Avesh. Swayam Rup is Swayam Bhagavan Krishna in Gopvesh in Vrindavan. And then there are Tadekatma. There are forms with different moods. And Avesh means those which are like Shaktavesh avatars. So like that, these different manifestations of Bhagavan, Mahaprabhu goes on to explain. Then there are the Purusha avatars, Leela avatars, Guna avatars, Manvantara avatars, Yuga avatars, Shaktavesh avatars, and then he goes to Krishna's pastimes because Swayam Bhagavan is Krishna. So this all constitutes, Sambandha Gyan, Sambandh, that we have to establish Sambandh with Bhagavan, and especially among all the Bhagavan features, we should establish our Sambandha with not Dwarka Krishna or Mathura Krishna, but with Vraja Krishna, who is Sabhayam Bhagavan, who is in Gopavish. So elaborate analysis is done, and this is a very, very important section in the Sanatana Shiksha, especially verses 165 to 376. It's a very long discussion. So why we should establish someone with Bhagavan in his form as Gopavesh, that is Vrindavan Krishna, because that is the highest manifestation of God. So this is established and this is proved in chapter 20 in the Madhya Leela. Now, Sanatana Shiksha what it constitutes. I'm just taking one verse from chapter 20. I'm going to teach you, Mahaprabhu says, Krishna Swarupa Madhvareshwarya Bhakti Rasashrayam Tattva Sanatanaya Shaya Kripa Upadesh Upa Karpa Upadidesha Saha. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, personally taught Sanatana Goswami about Lord Krishna's real identity, Krishna Swarup. He told him about the Lord's conjugal love, Madhurya, his personal opulence, Aishwarya, and the mellows of devotional service, Bhakta Rasa. All these truths were explained to Sanatana Goswami by the Lord himself out of his causeless mercy. So in Sanatana Shiksha, Mahaprabhu is teaching 4 things to Sanatana Goswami. Krishna Swarup, Krishna's real identity, Krishna's sweetness, Madhurya, Krishna's opulence, Aishwarya, and Bhakti Ras. So these are the 4 things we should remember. So his real identity is Gopavesh, Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. And that is his highest, sweetest form. And he has got his Aishwarya form in the form of Vaikuntha Narayan, in the Dwarkadish. And how to develop that, bhakti towards, Vraja Krishna by following Uttama Bhakti or Ananya Bhakti. And that Bhakti Ras is being taught in chapter 22. So, in one sense, Krishna Swarup is entirely discussed in chapter 20. Krishna Swarup is entirely discussed in chapter 20. Sambandha, Bhagavan Sambandha is completely dealt in chapter 20. Now, I mentioned that there are 4 questions put forth by Sanatana Goswami. I don't know why my video is not coming. Yes, now it is fine. So, Sanatana Goswami puts forth 4 questions. And that question is here. Ki ami? Who am I? Keno amaya jare tapatraya? Why do the threefold miseries always give me trouble? Iha nahi jani. I do not know this. How can I be benefited? Kemano hito hoy. So there are 2 questions here. Kiyami, kene amaya jara tapatraya. Why do the threefold miseries always give me trouble? So 2 questions in this text, 102 of chapter 20. And then, sadhya sadhana tattva puchite na jani, kripa kari sab tattva kaha ta apani. Actually, I do not know how to inquire about the goal of life, sadhya, and the process of obtaining it, sadhana. Kripa kari, be merciful upon me. Please explain me all these truths. So, these are the next 2 questions, which he has put in the next verse, sadhya and sadhana. Okay, up till here, any questions you have? We have briefly covered now chapter 20. We covered chapter 20 in practically, I think, 24 classes of Sanatana Shiksha. Now we briefly covered it in 20 minutes. I hope it was, you're able to follow. And do you have any questions on this? Any questions, any clarifications? Okay, so then I will ask you questions. So in chapter 20, what are the 4 things Mahaprabhu is teaching in Sanatana Shiksha? Which are the 4 subjects he is teaching in Sanatana Shiksha? Who will answer? Let us see how attentively you all are being hearing. I want to see some new hands raised who have first time hearing this. What about others? What are the 4 things? Yeah, Prasanna. Prasanna, yes, Prasanna.
Krishna Prabhuji, real identity, conjugal love, his personal opulence, and mellows of devotional service.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. What's your name, Mataji?
Prasanna, Nagalakshmi Prasanna Prabhu.
Oh, can you write your name? Because it becomes difficult to identify. And devotees can write their initiated name so that I can
No,
recognize that.
no initiation, Prabhu.
Yeah, but you can write your full name at least. Okay.
Oh, okay, Prabhu.
Excellent, excellent answer. Very clear. So Krishna Swarup, Lord Krishna's identity, Krishna Madhurya, the sweetness of Lord Krishna, Krishna Aishwarya, the opulence of Krishna, and Bhakti Ras. Bhakti Ras. So in Bhakti Ras will come the Abhidheya chapter, which is chapter 2, and ultimately the Prayojan, that is Krishna Prem, will be in chapter 23, which we'll be covering briefly as an overview. We'll not cover the whole thing because it's very esoteric and we are not qualified in one sense. So, okay, now what are the 4 questions put forth by Sanatana Goswami? Which are the 4 questions? Who will answer this? 1, 2, 3. Yes, Radha Bhavini Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Yes, I've unmuted you. Yes, you can speak.
So Sanatan goes asks, who am I? Why am I suffering? And what is the process of achieving the goal? Sadhya.
Sadhya, and then
What is that sadhana? That is the
sadhana.
process of
Excellent,
achieving the
excellent.
goal.
Ki ami, ki tapatra, kemati trapatra, and sadhya sadhana nahi jani. 4 questions. So based on these 4 questions, the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita 20, 21, 22, 23 is there. Okay. Now, within this teaching of Sanatana Shiksha is what is called as the Dasha Mula Tattva. The Dasha Mula Tattva, Dasha means 10, Mula means root, Tattva means truths. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur composed a work called as Dasha Mula Tattva. In fact, he has spoken about Dasha Mula Tattva in various of his works. He has spoken this in Bhaktya Loka when he has written articles on the 6 items favorable for devotional service, Utsaha, Nishchay, Dhairya, unfavorable, Atyahara, Prayas. So 12 articles what he wrote. There in Nishchay article, he has brought this Dashamula Tattva. He has written a separate book called as Dashamula Tattva. And in his Jaiva Dharma also, he has exhaustively discussed the Dashamula Tattva. Actually, the entire teaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you can summarize in these 10 truths, Dashamula Tattva. So important it is for us to understand. The entire teaching of Mahaprabhu is presented in this Dashamula Tattva, and Srinath Chakravarti in his Bhagavatam commentary to the Bhagavatam commentary called as a Chaitanya Mata Manjusha. He says, Aradhya Bhagavan Rajatanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachitopasana Vrajavado Vargena Ya Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam Prema Pumarto Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Matamidam Tatrardana Paraha. So, in essence, Srinath Chakravarti also has captured what Mahaprabhu has come to give. And there are 5 things there spoken. Aradhya Bhagavan. For us, Aradhya Bhagavan is Vraja Krishna, Vrajatanaya. So that is being established in Sanatana Shiksha as Bhagavan is Gopavaish, Swayam Bhagavan, Vraja Krishna. Tad Dhama Vrindavan, and his Dham is Vrindavan, not Dwarka or Mathura. And Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajatanaya is Tad Dhama Vrindavanam. And how should we do Aradhana? Ramya Kachit Upasana Vrajvadu, as the gopis worship. Sorry, we lost the connection. Yeah. We have to ultimately practice bhakti following the footsteps of gopis of Vrindavan. And with the Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, ultimately we should come to Raganuga sadhana bhakti and follow the Ragatmika bhaktas. The Ragatmika bhaktas are the eternal associates. Whether it is Dasya, Sakya, Vatsal and Madhurya, the highest is Madhurya, which Mahaprabhu has come to give. So, Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam. And then ultimately the goal is what? Prema Pumartha Mahan. Prem, that is Prayojan. So, Sambandh to be established in that verse is Vrajatanaya. Abhidheya is to follow in the footsteps, practice bhakti in the footsteps of the gopis. And Prema is Prayojan. And the Praman is Srimad Bhagavatam. And here also we will see in Sanatana Shiksha, Mahaprabhu is quoting from the Bhagavatam as a reference, everything. So there also the essence of Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamilam. It is the mata of Srimad Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Tatratana para. What else is there need of something else? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur picked up this essence of the teachings of Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami and put forth 10 truths, which is called as the Dasha Mula Tattva. And this idea is there originally in the Madhva Sampradaya, and Vyastirth, one of the great acharyas in the Madhva Sampradaya, also presented this Dashamula Tattva. But those Dashamula Tattva, there is Vishnu is supreme. Here it is, Krishna is supreme, Vraj Krishna. And where it is more philosophically establishing how the Jiva is Amsha, is different from Vishnu. Here the Achintya Veda Tattva is coming up here, the Dashamula Tattva. And there Rasa is not highlighted. But here Vraja Krishna is Akhila Rasamrita Murti. He's Radha Ras Bihari. He's Rasananda. He's Rasika Shekhar. Rasika Raman. So the Rasa Tattva and the Achintya Veda Tattva of Mahaprabhu's teaching are there in this Dashamula Tattva. There are 9 truths, Praman and Pramaya, but it is a little different from what Madhva Sampradaya has presented, especially in his teachings of Vyastir. Baldev Vidyabhushan wrote what is called as the Pramaya Ratnavali, and there also he has spoken about these 10 truths. But the essence of Mahaprabhu's teaching was brought forth by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Dashamula Tattva. So, within the Sanatana Shiksha, you will find these 10 truths. Now, what are the 10 truths? We are just going to briefly touch upon it because we have elaborately discussed these 10 truths in chapter 20 when we discussed. But we will briefly discuss and you will get an understanding of these 10 truths. Amnaya prahatatvam harim ihya paramam sarvashaktim rasabdim tadbhinnam shamscha jivan prakriti kavalitan tadvimuktamscha bhavat bheda bheda prakasham sakalam api hare sadhananam shuddha bhaktim sadhyam tat pritam eveti upadishati janan Gaurachandra swayam sa. Gaurachandra, the golden lord whose effulgence resembles a moon. Swayamcha, personally, these teachings, these 10 truths have been taught by whom? Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu taught this to Sanatana Goswami. What is that? Amnaya. Amnaya means the Vedas, Praman. For us, Praman is the Vedas. And in the Vedas, what is proclaimed there? What is the truths mentioned in the Vedas? That Hari is Paratattvam. He is the absolute truth. So the absolute truth has been established in the Vedas as Lord Krishna. Harihi Paramam, that the supreme absolute truth is Sri Hari. This is the first thing which is there. This is called as pramaya. Pramaya is that which is proved from the praman. A statement which is proved from the Vedas, which is established from the Vedas. So we can establish that Krishna is the absolute truth from Vedas. So this is called as pramaya. So first is praman, the Vedas. First pramaya is that the absolute truth is supreme. He is Sarva Shaktiman. He possesses unlimited potencies and is Rasabdim. He is ocean of rasa. This ocean of rasa is unique to the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara. It's not even there in the Madhva Sampradaya much. Tad Bhinnamsha. Then the jivas are a separated parts. And there are some jivas which are Prakriti Kavilitan. They are now Baddha jivas. And there are some jivas who are Tad Vimuktamsya Bhavat. They are liberated. So there are Jivan Mukta and there are Baddha Jiv. The Baddha Jiv and the Mukta Jivas. And then there is Bheda Bheda Prakasha Sakalam Hare. There is simultaneous oneness and difference between the Lord and the Jiva. And how do we understand all these things? By performing sadhana, Shuddha Bhakti, by practicing pure devotion, not mixed devotion. Please remember. And what is the sadhya? By practicing sadhana, what will get sadhya? Pritim, Tat Pritim. And this instruction to the people was given by Gaurchandra. So the first is Amnaya, Praman. The second, which is called as Pramaya, is that the absolute truth is Hari. The third is Sarva Shaktiman. Fourth is Rasabdim. Fifth is the separated jivas. Sixth is the bound jivas, Baddha jivas. Seventh is the liberated jivas. The eighth is the simultaneous oneness and difference between the Lord and the jivas. And the ninth is sadhana, which is Shuddha Bhakti, to understand all this. And sadhya is Priti. Now, these first seven are called as Sambandha Gyan. Abhidheya is sadhana and prem is prayojan. Sambandha, Abhidheya, prayojan again fall within this 10. Within this 10, there are these Sambandha, Abhidheya, prayojan. Now I am bringing out this. Sambandha, Abhidheya, prayojan. Krishna Sambandha, Bhakti, Abhidheya, prema, prayojan. And within this 3, there is 10 truths. 1 is Praman, 9 are Pramaya. 9 Pramaya based on the conclusion of the Vedas. So the first 7 Pramaya deal with Sambandha. So this is Sambandha. First 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these are Sambandha. Abhidheyas, 8th Pramaya is Abhidheya. That is Sadhananam Shuddha Bhaktim. And the 9th is Prayojan. So 9 Pramaya plus 1 Praman. These are 10 truths. These are called as the Dasha Mula Tattva. Now, just like in Ayurveda, those who know, there is called as Dasha Mula Arishta. It is made of 10 herbs and it is supposed to destroy the disease of the body. Similarly, one who knows these 10 truths, it will destroy the disease of the soul and you can recover from your spiritual disease and go back to the spiritual world. So that is this Dashamula Tattva. So now, any questions regarding Dashamula Tattva? I have briefly covered it now because within Mahaprabhu's teachings to Sanatana Goswami, all these 10 truths are there. And 6 truths are there in chapter 20, which we have already covered. I'll again once visit them now, very soon. And the remaining truths are covered in chapter 22, which we will be studying. And there is only one truth, Prem, Prayojan, which will be covered in chapter 23. So 6 are covered already in chapter 20, which I will cover now. 7, 8, maybe 6, and then 3 are covered in chapter 22, which will be beginning very soon. And the last one is covered in chapter 23. Now, any questions regarding this Dashamula Tattva briefly, which we discussed? Many devotees also might be new to this concept of the Dashamula Tattva, but I hope I was able to explain. I don't know why the videos now and then not playing. Any questions? Any questions anyone has up till now? There is one hand raised, but I'm just trying to do the settings. I don't know, some of my video is not showing. Yeah, now hopefully. Hare Krishna. I think there is some problem at the other end. Somebody is pressing the button. Yeah, now it has come back. Yeah. So there is one question. We'll take it up. Any other questions anyone else has? Okay. We'll take up this question first. Okay. Yes. Archana Mataji.
Hare Krishna Varabhuja Dandavata Pranam. Dashamula Tattva explains us the Rasa Tattva and Achintya Bhedavad, right?
Can you speak a little loudly, please?
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Okay. Dashamula Tattva explains us Rasa Tattva and Achintya Bhedavad, right?
No. Dashamula Tattva speaks about the 10 truths. The uniqueness of this Dashamula Tattva presented by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the Gaudiya Sampradaya is the speciality of Vraja Krishna, who is Rasabdim. He's the ocean of Rasa. Ocean of Rasa. That's very unique. Are you getting this point?
Yeah, the uniqueness of this Dashamula Tattva is it is Rasatma.
It is,
I'm not getting, it is Rasatma. And Achintya Bhedavad.
Yeah, Achintya Bheda Tattva has been established here in Mahaprabhu's teaching. Whereas in Madhva Sampradaya, Vishnu is separate, Jiva is separate. There's a lot of Bheda. So the Abheda part, Bheda is emphasized more there. That's one extreme. In the Advaita philosophy, there is Abhed. There is no difference between the Jiva and the Lord. They are one. We are also Lord. We are also God. That is Advaita philosophy. And the Dvait is other extreme. No, there is Bhed. They are two different. And that's why Madhva's sign is like this. Two different. But Mahaprabhu brings out simultaneous oneness and difference. That is very unique to the Gaudiya tradition. So these two are in the Dashamula Tattva, these two are something very unique to the Gaudiya tradition, the Achintya Bheda Tattva and the Rasa. Because only when there is intimacy, then there is more reciprocation in the different rasas like Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya, which only happen in Vrindavan Krishna in the Vrindavan pastimes. So that's why that is very unique to our Sampradaya. That was the point I was making. I hope it is clear now.
Yes, and what was your concluding sentence while we were at the end of Dashamula Tattva? You said why it is important to know Dashamula Tattva.
Yeah, Dashamula Tattva, it is very important for us to know because these are the teachings of Mahaprabhu given to us. And even many years I did not know what this Dashamula Tattva is. And these teachings are there in the Sanatana Shiksha. And just like I mentioned, when you take the Dashamula Arishta, it will destroy the disease of the body. Similarly, if you understand these 10 truths, then it will destroy the disease of the soul, which is avidya, and awaken our constitutional identity and help us to attain pure love for Krishna, which is our goal. So that's why it is very important for us to understand the Dashamula Tattva. Or in one sense, the Sanatana Shiksha completely. Is it clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, 100%. Thank you.
Radha Ras Bihari Prabhuji has a question. Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna.
in the verse, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can you hear me,
Here,
Prabhuji?
Radha Ras Bihari Prem Prabhu, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Then you have written your name only Radha Ras Bihari Prabhu.
Okay, my name is Radha Ras Bihari Prem.
Okay, fine. That Prem is very important, Baba.
Prabhuji, in the verse by Srinath Chakravarti Thakur, it is said, Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam.
Yes.
But here you take Vedas as the Praman, but Gaudiya Sampradaya always emphasis on more on Bhagavatam. So can you like explain that part?
Okay, very good question. So, evidence, Vedanta Darshan. Vedanta means, there are Shad Darshans, Nyaya, Sankhya, Vaisheshika, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, then Purva Mimamsa, Uttar Mimamsa. Uttar Mimamsa is Vedanta presented by Vyasdev. Now, within the Vedanta Darshan, there is one extreme school of thought, which is like a sub-school called as the Advaitavad of Shankaracharya. And there is another sub-school, which is the Vaishnav school of thought, where the four sampradayas come in. The Brahma Sampradaya, the Rudra Sampradaya, the Kumar Sampradaya, and the Shri Sampradaya. These are Vaishnav school thoughts, and they are personalist, whereas the Advaita are the impersonalist. They are coming within the Vedanta, please understand. Now, the Gaudiya Vedanta philosophy is propounded by Mahaprabhu through the Goswamis. And any school of thought, Vedantic school of thought, has to comment on the Prasthanatraya. Prasthanatraya means they are literally the foundation pillars of any school of thought. There is a Shruti Prasthana, Smriti Prasthana, and then Nyaya Prasthana. Within the Shruti Prasthana, the four Vedas, and the highest body of knowledge is the head of the Vedas in the form of Upanishads. And within the Smriti Prasthana, there is the Itihasas like Ramayana and Mahabharata. And within the Mahabharata, there is the Gita. And within the Nyaya Prasthana is the Vedanta Sutra. So any Vedantic school Acharya has to comment on all these three, Shruti Prasthana, Smriti Prasthana, Nyaya Prasthana. So all the four Acharyas of the Sampradaya, even Shankaracharya, they commented on the Upanishads, the 10 principal Upanishads. Shankaracharya commented, Madhvacharya commented, Ramacharya commented, not exactly Ramacharya, but his disciples, Vedanta Desika and all commented. Then all the other Sampradaya Acharyas, Vishnu Swami and Nimbarka, all commented on the Upanishads, all commented on the Gita within the Smriti Prasthana category, and all commented on the Vedanta Sutra. All the four Sampradaya Acharyas wrote commentaries on the Vedanta Sutra. Because Mahaprabhu said Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam. For us, the highest Praman is Srimad Bhagavatam. So none of the Acharyas felt need, because for us, the highest darshan, Gaudiya Vedanta darshan is Srimad Bhagavatam. Mahaprabhu accepts it, so we accept it. So none of the Acharyas went into exhaustively studying other prasthans or commenting on it. They started commenting only on Bhagavatam and writing essays on Bhagavatam. Because Bhagavatam contains everything. But only when the need came to establish our Sampradaya as authentic and bona fide, it is Baldev Vidyabhushan who commented on the Vedanta Sutra. But we study the Vedanta Sutra in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. Because Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. And Mahaprabhu has accepted it. So Prabhupada also, to establish his movement as authentic, he commented on the Shruti Prasthana in the form of commenting on each Upanishads. In the Smriti Prasthana, Prabhupada wrote the Bhagavad Gita commentary. And in the Nyaya Prasthana, he wrote the commentary on the Bhagavatam. Because we accept, the Srimad Bhagavatam as a natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. So in the Tattva Sandarbha of Jiva Goswami establishes how the Vedas, nobody can access that knowledge today. It's not available. The Puranas and the Itihasas are more important because they're fully available, they're authentic, they're relevant. And within the Puranas, the Srimad Bhagavatam is the Amal Puran. So he establishes very systematically, logically, with evidence, how Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost praman, the highest praman he establishes. So that is the reason that Srimad Bhagavatam pramanam amalam, Mahaprabhu has said, and we accept it. There is no other literature required for us. Is it clear, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Any other questions anyone has up till now on the subject? So you can refer to the Dashamula Tattva, which we have discussed in our Sanatana Shiksha chapter 20, if you want to go in more detail, but this is in essence. Now, as I was mentioning that these Dashamula Tattva are presented by Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami in his Sanatana Shiksha. So I am going to present now where, in which particular context or discussion Mahaprabhu has presented it. So I will present now that which we have studied already in chapter 20. The first 5 tattvas. So we will now see that. One will receive all information from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's answers to Sanatana Goswami. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying this in Bhaktya Loka on Nishchay article. Regarding authority, Amnaya. Amnaya means the highest authority, Vedas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's statement is given in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya chapter 20. You can see chapter. Veda Shastra kahe. The Veda say, Sambandha Vidhaya Prayojan. Krishna Prapti Sambandha Bhakti Prapti Sadhana. The Vedic literature gives information of the living entity's eternal relationship with Krishna, which is called Sambandha. So the Vedas have been established as a source of knowledge, Praman, highest Praman. So this is spoken in the Sanatana Shiksha here in Madhya Lila, chapter 20. Now, regarding the next proof, I'm going to the second tattva. The second tattva is what? The absolute truth is the supreme. Regarding the second basic truth, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnera Swarupa Vichar Shuno Shanatan Advaya Jnana Tattva Vraje Rajendra Nandan. Krishna Swarup, Krishna's identity, he is Vraja, Rajendra Nandan. He is the son of Nanda Maharaj. So the highest identity of Krishna as the son of Nanda Maharaj has been established. Hari Param Tattvam, Dashamula Tattva is there, na? So this Mahaprabhu has taught here. You can see this. And Krishnera Swarupa Vichar. And almost 150 verses Mahaprabhu speaks on this. Very, very interesting dialogue is there. Almost the entire chapter 20 is only discussing Krishna Swarup Vichar. And we have to establish sambandh with Raja Krishna. Swayam Bhagavan Krishna Govinda Paranam Sarvaishwarya Puna Yandra Goloka Nityadam. Further details. Swayam Bhagavan is Krishna and Govinda is his name. Ishwara Param Krishna Sachidananda Vigra Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So the Govinda is come and then Govinda Madi Purusham. And is Sarva Ishwarya Pun and Golok is his Dham. So our destination, Sadhya, is Golok Vrindavan. Very clearly Mahaprabhu establishes. And this is the second Dashamula Tattva. Again, this is the second verse quoted by Mahaprabhu. Jnana Yoga Bhakti Tina Sadhanera Vashe Brahma Atma Bhagavan Trivida Prakashe. By Jnana you can attain Brahman. By Yoga you can attain Paramatma. By Bhakti you can attain Bhagavan. So there are 3 processes and the absolute truth is manifested in Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. So the second proof for the Dashamula Tattva is there in the Sanatana Shiksha chapter 20. And these are the verses. 20, 152, 155, 157. Now let's go to the third tattva, Sarva Shaktiman. This is the third Dashamula tattva. Regarding Krishna's energy, Mahaprabhu states, Krishnera Swabhavika Tina Shakti Parinati Chut Shakti Jiva Shakti Aramaya Shakti. Krishna has 3 energies naturally. That is the Antaranga Shakti, Bhairanga Shakti and the Tatastha Shakti. So the third proof for the third Dashamula Tattva, Sarva Shaktiman, is here. Now the fourth proof, Krishna is full of rasa, as explained by Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sarvadi Sarvamshi Kishora Shekhara Chidananda Deya Sarvashvaya Sarveshwara. Krishna is the original source of everything and the sum total of everything. He appears as the supreme youth, Kishora Shekhar, and his whole body is composed of supreme, yes, Sarvan, Chidananda Deya. Akhila Rasamrita Murti is in one sense. Now the fifth, the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu regarding the constitutional position of the living entity is given in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So in the Dashamula Tattva, Amnaya, Hari Param Tattvam, Sarva Shaktiman, Rasabnim, 4. Fifth, Jiva, Binnamsh. The Jiva is Binnamsha. So there Mahaprabhu has taught, he has taught in chapter 20, 108, 109. Jivera Sarup Hoy, Krishnera Nityadas, Bheda Beda Prakash, Suryamsha Kiranayche, Agni Jwala Choy, Swabhavika Krishnera Tina Prakara Shakti Hai. So Jivera Sarup, the Jiva Sarup is what? Krishnera Nityadas. And it is the Tatastha Shakti, and there is Bheda Beda Prakash. So here we can see that what is the Jiva's constitution? It's eternally the servant of Krishna. It belongs to the Tatastha Shakti. And there is Bheda Beda Prakash. So Bheda Beda Tattva is also covered here among one of the Dashamula Tattvas. And two examples are given. The Suram Shakiran and the Agni and the fire sparks. And the sun and the sun molecules. Two examples, analogies are given for us to understand. Now, 5 proofs of the Dashamula Tattva are there in Sanatana Shiksha. Now, the 8th Tattva, the Bhaddha Jiva and the Mukta Jiva are not covered in chapter 20, they are covered in chapter 22. Now, 8th Tattva is covered in chapter 20. 8th Tattva is covered in chapter 20, which we have already regarding simultaneous oneness and difference. Krishnera Tata Shakti Bheda Bheda Prakash. This is already there in that verse. Now, this is how 6 Tattvas, Dashamula Tattvas are covered in chapter 20. Any questions on this now? Any questions, any clarifications? Any questions or any clarifications? Okay, then can we go to now overview of chapter 21? So we have finished now the overview of chapter 20. Now let's go to the overview of chapter 21. Chapter 21 is very interesting. Already in chapter 20, Mahaprabhu has established Bhagwan Sambandh. We have to establish our Sambandh with Bhagwan and Krishna Sarup Vichar, how there is, Swayam Bhagwan, Ekatma, Avesh, and within Swayam Bhagwan there are many divisions, Prabhav, Prakash, Vaibhav Prakash, and within Tad Ekatma there is, Vilas and Vaibhav, Vilas Prakash, Vilas Vaibhav, lot of divisions are there. And then there is the Chaturvivas, the 24 Chaturvivas, and then the Avesh, there is a Purusha Avatar, Guna Avatar, Leela Avatars, then the Shaktavesh Avatars, like that, divisions are there. And ultimately it has been established that the highest aspect of the absolute truth is Krishna. Now Krishna has his Aishwarya feature and the Madhurya feature. So in chapter 21, Mahaprabhu goes more into detail of Krishna's Aishwarya and Madhurya features. And among the two, In the last section of chapter 21, Mahaprabhu brings out how Krishna's sweetness is there, and ultimately we should be attracted to Krishna's Madhurya feature. Because Krishna's Madhurya feature is exhibited in Vrindavan. So with him, with that Krishna, we have to establish our relationship. So there he brings out the ultimate pinnacle of having Sambandha, Bhagavan Sambandha with Madhurya. Madhurya, he doesn't mean the Madhurya Ras. Madhurya means sweetness of Krishna's, beautiful, wonderful qualities of sweetness, his Kaishwarya Roop. So that is what is established in chapter 21. So I'm just giving an overview now. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives the following summary of chapter 21. In this chapter, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fully describes Krishna Lok, the spiritual sky, the causal ocean, the material world, which consists of innumerable universes. So Krishna's Aishwarya, Krishna Lok, then the Virija, and the Devi Dham. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then describes Lord Brahma's interview with Krishna at Dwarka, and the Lord's curbing the pride of Brahma. So Krishna in Dwarka as Dwarkadish, showed his Aishwarya, how unlimited Brahmas came, and our four-headed Brahma was able to see other Brahmas. Other Brahmas were not able to see this four-headed Brahma, nor they were able to see that other Brahmas are also there. Only our four-headed Brahma was able to see that all other Brahmas were there with 10 heads, 100 heads, 10,000 heads, 10 million heads. So this is the opulence, what is there within the material world, Aishwarya. So Aishwarya feature of Krishna, this is Aishwarya. There is also a description of one of Krishna's pastimes with Brahma, the Brahma Vimohan Leela. This chapter, the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita has presented some nice poems about the pastimes of Krishna and Krishna's super excellent beauty, Madhurya. So slowly, the more we understand the Aishwarya Gyan of Krishna, and the more we understand his sweetness, that Aishwarya should lead to Madhurya. And we should get attracted to the Madhurya feature of the Lord. So Sambandha, the teaching, Bhagavan Sambandha teaching ends at chapter 21. So that is how chapter 21 is. Throughout the rest of the chapter, our intimate relationship, Sambandha with Krishna, is described. So that Sambandha should be very intimate, nikat, in Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya and Madhurya, especially in Vraja Krishna. So the intimate relationship is being described in the last part. So here again, Aishwarya Gyan, the expanse of the spiritual sky, the expanse of Krishna's qualities, how unlimited qualities he has. And the Brahma Vimohan Leela is described. And then Krishna's Aishwarya, Trayadish. What is Trayadish? How he is the controller of the three Guna avatars. He is the Lord of the three Purusha avatars. And the most confidential meaning of Trayadish is he is the Lord of the three Dhams. Then there is the Ekpad Vibhuti, opulence, Aishwarya. What is there in the material world, not about the spiritual world, the material world. And then the Krishna's Madhurya, the qualities of Krishna's form, Vraja Krishna, various aspects of Krishna's sweet form, Krishna's beauty is compared to Kama Gayatri, then the sweetness of Krishna's body, face, smile, Krishna's flute, and its effect. And then Lord Chaitanya is absorbed describing this. So ultimately, we have to establish our Sambandha with Vrindavan Krishna. Dwarka Krishna doesn't play flute. Only Vrindavan Krishna plays flute. So this is chapter 20 and 21 are speaking about Sambandha. Chapter 22 is Abhidheya now, which we are going to begin. And chapter 23 is Prayojan. Okay, so now we have finished discussing the overview of chapter 20 and 21. And we are now going to begin with chapter 22. But before that, any questions you have? Any questions, any clarifications? If there is one question, we'll take up and we'll end the session. This time is also up. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandut Pranam. Prabhu, just one clarification. This Dasmula Tattva verse, Amna Pra Tattvam Harim Ye Param. This verse is composed by Prabhu Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
Yes, this verse is composed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He has extracted from the Sanatana Shiksha. Let me go back to that. Yeah, here it is. He has extracted from the Sanatana Shiksha that these are the 10 truths what Mahaprabhu spoke to Sanatana Goswami, and he has composed a verse. And we should all try to recite this verse. It's a very beautiful. Amnaya prahatatvam harim iha paramam sarva shaktim rasabdim tadbhinnam sham cha jivan prakritin kavalitan tadvimuktam cha bhavat bheda beda prakasham sakalam ape harehe sadhanam shuddha bhaktim sadhyam tat pritam eveti upadishati janan aura chandra swayam sa. So we should know these 10 truths. In fact, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in his article on Nishchay that as long as one doesn't completely is not convinced of these 10 truths, there will be always some doubts in his minds. And these doubts will act as obstacles. And his faith in Krishna will not be complete. And he'll not, with that confidence, practice bhakti. So by studying these 10 truths very deeply, our faith, our sambandhigyan, our abhidheya, and ultimately we will attain prayojan. When we have that solid sambandhigyan understanding, and with that sambandhigyan we practice abhidheya, then definitely we will attain prayojan. If that sambandhigyan is not strong, then the abhidheya will not be strong in our practice, and that abhidheya will not lead us to prayojan. So it's so important for us to understand Sanatana Shiksha as well as Dashamula Tattva. Is it okay? Clear, Prabhuji?
Right, Prabhu. Right, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Any other questions or clarifications? Okay, so we will stop now. And tomorrow now we will begin with chapter 22 overview and start discussing verse by verse chapter 22. Along with that, we will cover 3 Dashamula Tattvas, which are yet to be covered, which will come in chapter 22. The last one, Prema, is in chapter 23, which we'll summarize. And because we are discussing Abhidheya, which is very important, Bhakti, because we are all in the path of Bhakti, how to practice Bhakti, what is the way, Prakriya, what is the process of practicing devotion. And Abhidheya Acharya is Rupa Goswami. And he has written the Abhidheya Shastras in the form of nectar of devotion, nectar of instructions. So especially in nectar of devotion, we will do a parallel study. As we are doing Sanatana Shiksha, we will also do a parallel study of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, because Mahaprabhu is going to teach Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, frankly, to Sanatana Goswami. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu was taught by Mahaprabhu both to Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. And we will try to bring that out and get deeper understanding of the Abhidheya Tattva, which is in one sense the heart of Sanatana Shiksha, and it is very important for us. So that we'll try to bring out now as we go into chapter 22. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Hare Krishna.